The massive alien ship appeared without warning, its dark hull blocking out the stars as it positioned itself above Earth's atmosphere. At first, the giant vessel was mistaken for an asteroid, until it smoothly decelerated and took up a perfect geosynchronous orbit over the United Nations headquarters in New York. Earth's military forces scrambled into action, but their response seemed almost laughable compared to the sheer size of the visitor. The alien ship stretched nearly 10 kilometers in length, dwarfing humanity's largest space stations. Its surface gleamed with an otherworldly metal that seemed to absorb radar signals, making it difficult for Earth's sensors to get a clear reading. Inside the UN Emergency Council chamber, sweat dripped down General Tom Wilson's forehead as he watched the main display. As head of Earth's United Defense Command, he had run countless simulations of first contact scenarios. None of them had prepared him for this. "Sir," his aide whispered, "they're broadcasting." The alien transmission came through on all frequencies in perfect English. The holographic figure that appeared in the center of the UN chamber stood 3 meters tall, humanoid but clearly alien, with silvery skin and eyes that seemed to hold galaxies within them. "I am High Counselor Reed of the Galactic Council," the figure announced, its voice resonating with authority. "Your world has been assessed and categorized as a Class 3 developing civilization. As per galactic law, you are now required to pay tribute." The room erupted in murmurs and whispers. Wilson noticed several diplomats reaching for their tablets, frantically taking notes. "The terms are simple," Reed continued, seemingly uninterested in the humans' reactions. "Earth will provide 30% of its annual resource production to the Council. This includes all minerals, metals, biological materials, and energy sources. You have 30 standard days to prepare your first tribute. And if we refuse?" The question came from Ambassador Brown, her voice steady despite the tension in the room. The alien's expression didn't change, but the temperature in the chamber seemed to drop several degrees. "Refusal is not advised. Primitive worlds that resist integration face consequences. Your limited faster-than-light capabilities and rudimentary weapons would pose no challenge to Council enforcement fleets." Wilson clenched his fists under the table, forcing himself to maintain a neutral expression. If only they knew. "We request time to discuss these terms," Ambassador Brown responded diplomatically. "This decision affects our entire planet. We need to consult with all nations." High Counselor Reed made a gesture that might have been a shrug. "You have 30 days. No more. We will remain in orbit to ensure compliance and prevent any unfortunate attempts at resistance." The hologram flickered out, leaving the chamber in chaos as arguments broke out among the assembled leaders. Wilson quietly slipped away, making his way to a secure communication room. His hand shook slightly as he input the highest-level emergency code into his personal device. The message was simple. "BLACKSDAR Toronto Gyovala activated." Across the solar system, hidden receivers picked up his signal. Deep within the lunar caves, massive doors began to open. In the asteroid belt, seemingly dead rocks split apart to reveal sophisticated hangars. On Mars, underground facilities hummed to life as power systems activated for the first time in decades. Back in the chamber, Wilson listened to the panicked discussions with half an ear. The world leaders were divided between those who wanted to submit and those who wanted to fight back with Earth's limited space forces. None of them knew what was really coming. He thought about the massive alien ship above them, about High Counselor Reed's smug confidence. The alien was right about one thing. Earth's publicly known defenses would be useless against the Council's forces. But humanity had been preparing for this moment for 65 years. The archives found on Mars had changed everything, even if only a handful of people knew about them. Now, finally, it was time to use what they had learned. Wilson allowed himself a small smile as he imagined the Council's surprise when they discovered that humanity's tribute would be delivered by warships they never saw coming. Deep within the secure facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Wilson stood before a large screen showing footage from 65 years ago. The young soldiers around him watched with intense focus as the recording played, showing the discovery that had changed humanity's future. The video showed a team of Mars explorers from 2180. They had been setting up the third Mars colony when their drilling equipment broke through into a massive underground chamber. What they found inside was beyond anything humans had imagined. "Play Section 4, Wilson commanded. The screen shifted to show massive hangar bays carved into the Martian rock. Inside were the remains of ships, warships, that had clearly not been built by human hands. Along with them were data crystals containing detailed technical information, weapons designs, and strategic archives. Our ancestors weren't the first to face threats from the stars," Wilson explained to the young officers. "The civilization that built these ships fought the same council we face today, over 50,000 years ago." One of the officers raised her hand. "Sir, why haven't we told the public about this?" Wilson walked closer to the screen, his face illuminated by the glow of ancient Martian ships. "Because secrecy was our best weapon, Lieutenant Baker. The Council thinks we're primitive because that's exactly what we wanted them to think." The screen changed again, showing current footage from a hidden base on the far side of the moon. Row after row of sleek warships filled enormous underground hangars. They looked nothing like the clunky vessels humans publicly used for space travel. These ships were built using the Martian designs, incorporating technology far beyond what the Council believed humanity possessed. "For 65 years, Wilson continued, we've been building in secret. Every major nation contributed resources and scientists. While the world thought we were working on regular space stations and moon bases, we were actually creating the largest hidden fleet in human history." He pressed another button, and a 3D hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed the full extent of humanity's secret defense network, bases hidden in the moon, Mars, and the asteroid belt. Hundreds of ships, thousands of weapons, all waiting for this moment. "The Martian archives didn't just give us technology," Wilson explained. "They gave us their history. The Council has been doing this for millennia, finding developing worlds, demanding tribute, slowly draining them of resources until nothing is left. But the Martians fought back. They nearly won, too, before a natural disaster forced them to abandon their bases." Lieutenant Baker studied the hologram closely. "How did we keep all this hidden? The Council must have been watching Earth for years." Wilson smiled. "That's the beauty of Martian stealth technology. Their sensors can't detect anything we don't want them to see. Right now, the Council thinks their ship is watching a primitive planet struggling to achieve basic spaceflight. They have no idea they're surrounded." The room fell silent as Wilson brought up the final display. A complete battle plan that had been refined over decades. 500 warships, each more advanced than anything the Council had encountered in thousands of years. Crews that had trained in secret their entire careers, ready to protect Earth. "Tomorrow," Wilson said, his voice firm, "we begin moving our ships into position. The Council gave us 30 days, probably expecting us to panic and submit. Instead, we'll use that time to prepare the largest surprise in military history." He looked at each officer in turn. "You're here because you've been chosen to lead this operation. Each of you will command a ship in our fleet. Over the next week, you'll receive your final briefings and crew assignments." The young officers stood straighter, pride and determination visible on their faces. They had been preparing for this their entire careers, carrying the weight of humanity's greatest secret. "Remember," Wilson concluded, "every ship we launch, every weapon we fire, carries the hopes of not just humanity, but every world the Council has ever threatened. In 29 days, we're going to show them that picking Earth as their next target was the biggest mistake they've ever made." As the briefing ended, Wilson looked one last time at the footage of that first Mars discovery. Humanity had spent 65 years preparing for this moment. Now it was time to show the galaxy what their primitive world could really do. Ambassador Brown stood before the Council's holographic representative, doing her best to look nervous and overwhelmed. It wasn't hard. The alien ship still hanging above Earth was intimidating enough, but the fear in her voice was all an act. "High Counselor Reed," she said, bowing slightly, "Earth's nations have discussed your demands. We request a small extension to properly organize the tribute collection. Our transportation systems are limited." The alien's glowing eyes narrowed. "You were given 30 days. That is standard procedure." Yes, of course," Brown replied quickly. "But you see, our mining operations are scattered across different continents. Our space launch capabilities are few. We want to provide a proper tribute, but we need just a little more time to gather everything." While this conversation played out in public, a very different scene was unfolding in secret across the solar system. Deep in the lunar caves, Captain Jack Miller watched his crew load into their ships. The vessels looked nothing like normal human spacecraft. They were sleek, dark, and covered in surfaces that bent light around them. No radar could detect them. No sensors could track them. They were humanity's ghost fleet. "All crews report ready, sir," his second-in-command reported. Miller nodded, checking the final preparations on his tablet. "Begin launch sequence. Remember, absolute stealth until the signal comes." One by one, ships slipped out of the hidden lunar bases. They moved slowly, carefully, using the Martian stealth technology that made them invisible to the Council's watchful eyes. The massive alien ship above Earth continued its patrol, completely unaware of the warships now taking position around it. In the asteroid belt, another fleet was moving. Commander Anna West supervised as her ships emerged from their hiding places inside hollow asteroids. These were the heavy warships, carrying weapons that could tear through the strongest shields the Council had ever built. "Status report," she called over the secure channel. "All ships maintaining stealth protocols," came the response. "Council sensors show no signs of detection. They're still focused on Earth's visible space stations." West smiled grimly. The Council thought they were watching all of humanity's space capabilities, the public ones, the decoys, the intentionally primitive vessels that had been part of the deception for decades. Back on Earth, Admiral Thompson sat in his underground command center, watching feeds from all the hidden fleets. 500 ships were now in motion, carefully moving into a complex web of positions around the solar system. Each one carried weapons and defenses that the Council believed were impossible for primitive humans to create. His screen showed Ambassador Brown still talking to the Council representative, still playing for time. "We're having trouble coordinating between different nations," she was saying. "You understand, we've never had to organize something on this scale before." "Your excuses grow tiresome," High Counselor Reed responded. "But very well. You have 5 additional days. No more. After that, we begin enforcement actions." The transmission ended, and Brown immediately dropped her nervous act. She pressed a button on her desk. "Admiral, how are we doing?" "Right on schedule," Thompson replied. "The Council's arrogance is working in our favor. They're so convinced of our weakness, they're not even running deep scans of the system. All ships will be in position within 3 days." He looked at the tactical display, showing hundreds of green dots representing human ships, all hidden from the Council's view. The single red dot of the Council ship hung above Earth, unaware it was being surrounded. "Keep them distracted for 3 more days," Thompson ordered. "By then, we'll have the largest ambush in human history ready to go." Around the solar system, crews on the hidden ships continued their preparations. Weapons were checked, systems were tested, and battle plans were reviewed. Everyone knew their role in what was coming. The Council thought they were dealing with a primitive species scared into submission. They had no idea that Earth's tribute would come in the form of 500 warships appearing out of nowhere, armed with weapons that hadn't been seen in the galaxy for 50,000 years. In 3 days, the Council would learn why it was a bad idea to threaten humanity. The trap was almost ready. Day 29 dawned over Earth like any other, but across the solar system, hundreds of hidden warships waited silently in space. Admiral Thompson stood in the main command center, watching the final minutes count down on the giant screen. "All fleets report ready," his communications officer announced. "Awaiting your command, sir." The massive council ship still hung above Earth, its crew completely unaware of what was about to happen. High Counselor Reed had just sent another demanding message about the tribute collection. Thompson took a deep breath. "Send the signal. Operation Tribute begins now." Across the solar system, hidden warships dropped their stealth fields. They appeared everywhere at once, behind Earth's moon, emerging from the asteroid belt, rising from Mars's surface, and even from hidden bases in Earth's oceans. In orbit, the Council ship's sensors suddenly blazed with alerts. Where empty space had been moments before, hundreds of advanced warships now surrounded them in a perfect sphere formation. Inside the Council ship, High Counselor Reed stared at the tactical display in disbelief. "Impossible," he whispered. "Their technology. This can't be." Admiral Thompson's voice boomed across all channels, broadcasting not just to the Council ship, but to every Earth communication system. "High Counselor Reed, you demanded Earth's tribute. We're here to deliver." The human ships moved with perfect coordination, their dark hulls reflecting the sunlight as they tightened their formation around the Council vessel. Each one was a masterpiece of Martian engineering, rebuilt and improved by 65 years of secret human development. "These ships," Thompson continued, "represent humanity's tribute to the Galactic Council. 500 warships, each carrying weapons you thought were lost to history. Would you like to see what they can do?" On his command, every human ship powered up their weapons. Martian energy cannons hummed to life, their power readings making the Council ship's sensors scream in alarm. The Council vessel's shields automatically activated, but everyone knew they wouldn't be enough against weapons designed to break far stronger defenses. "This is outrageous." Reed's hologram appeared in Thompson's command center. The alien's usual calm was gone, replaced by shocked anger. "You've been hiding these capabilities. This is a violation of Council law." Thompson smiled coldly. "No, Counselor. According to your own laws, developing worlds are required to declare their spacefaring capabilities. We're declaring them now. All 500 of them." More Council ships began appearing at the edge of the solar system. The tribute collection fleet they'd been expecting to bully Earth into submission. But they dropped out of faster-than-light travel right into the waiting guns of Commander West's heavy warships. "As you can see," Thompson continued, "we've prepared a proper welcome for your collection fleet as well. Now let's discuss the terms of the Council's immediate withdrawal from Earth space." Reed's hologram flickered with rage. "You don't understand what you're doing. The Council will not stand for this insult." "No, Counselor, you don't understand. Earth is not some helpless primitive world you can bully into submission. We've known about the Council for decades. We found the Martian archives. We know what you do to worlds that pay your tributes, how you drain them until nothing is left." The human ships moved closer, their weapons still trained on both the Council ship and its newly arrived fleet. The Council vessels, despite their size, were suddenly looking much less impressive against humanity's restored Martian technology. "Here's our counteroffer," Thompson declared. "The Council will leave Earth space immediately. You will never demand tribute from us again. And if we learn of you threatening any other developing worlds—" He let the sight of Earth's fleet finish his sentence. Around the solar system, humanity watched on screens and holographic displays as their hidden strength was finally revealed. 65 years of secrecy, preparation, and patience had led to this moment. The Council ship hung motionless in space, surrounded by weapons it had thought were lost to time, wielded by a species it had gravely underestimated. Earth's tribute was being delivered, but not in the way the Council had expected. The real question now was, would the Council accept humanity's terms, or would they learn exactly what these ships could do? High Counselor Reed made his choice. Instead of accepting humanity's terms, he gave the order that sealed the Council fleet's fate. "Destroy these primitives." The Council ships opened fire first, their energy beams streaking across space toward Earth's fleet. But 65 years of preparation showed their worth in the next few seconds. The human ship's shields lit up with a deep blue glow, absorbing the attacks like they were nothing more than light shows. "All ships, execute Battle Plan Delta," Admiral Thompson commanded calmly. "Show them what real weapons can do." Captain Miller's squadron struck first. His ships moved with impossible speed, their Martian engines letting them dance around the Council vessels like they were standing still. The Council's targeting systems couldn't keep up with their movement patterns, practiced for years in secret drills. "Target their main weapons," Miller ordered, "just like we trained." The human ships fired their first shots. Beams of concentrated energy, based on weapons designed to fight the Council 50,000 years ago, cut through the Council ships' shields like they weren't even there. Secondary explosions blossomed across the Council vessels as their weapon systems overloaded and failed. From the asteroid belt, Commander West's heavy warships moved in. "Launch gravity bombs," she ordered. These were humanity's secret weapons, combining Martian technology with human innovation. As they detonated, they created temporary zones of intense gravity, crushing Council ships' engines and tearing their hulls apart. High Counselor Reed's voice crackled across the communication channels, now showing fear instead of arrogance. "This is impossible. These weapons were lost. The Martian Empire fell." "They left us their legacy," Thompson replied. "We spent 65 years studying every detail, making their technology even better." "Did you really think Earth was defenseless?" The space around Earth lit up with explosions and energy beams as the battle continued. Council ships tried to coordinate their attacks, but human crews had trained for this moment their entire lives. They knew every weakness in Council ship design, every flaw in their battle tactics. Lieutenant Baker led her squadron through a series of perfect attack runs. "Target their shield generators," she called out. "Pattern Omega-3." Her ships moved in perfect formation, their combined fire overwhelming the Council's defenses section by section. The Council's mighty collection fleet, which had terrorized countless worlds, was being systematically taken apart. Their ships, impressive against normal opposition, found themselves facing technology specifically designed to counter their every advantage. "Sir," a tactical officer called out to Thompson, "they're trying to call for reinforcements." Thompson nodded. "Just as we expected. Commander West, execute Phase 2. West's ships launched special missiles toward the spots where Council reinforcements would emerge from faster-than-light travel. The missiles detonated, creating zones of distorted space that would make FTL travel impossible. The Council fleet was trapped. High Counselor Reed's flagship tried to escape, but found itself surrounded by Captain Miller's fastest ships. Their combined fire disabled its engines, leaving it dead in space. "Listen carefully, Counselor." Thompson's voice was cold. "Your fleet is defeated. Your reinforcements can't reach you. You have one last chance to surrender." The battle had lasted less than 30 minutes. Around Earth's orbit, the wreckage of Council ships drifted in space. Not a single human vessel had been lost. Their shields, based on Martian designs, had protected them perfectly. Reed's hologram appeared one last time in Thompson's command center. The alien's arrogance was completely gone. We surrender," he said quietly. Thompson looked at the tactical display, showing the remaining Council ships powering down their weapons. "A wise choice," he replied. "Now about those other worlds you've been terrorizing." The battle was over. Humanity had not just defended Earth. They had shattered the Council's image of invincibility. Across the galaxy, news would spread of how a primitive world had destroyed a Council tribute fleet using legendary weapons fought lost to time. Earth's first space battle had ended in total victory, but everyone knew this was just the beginning. The galaxy was about to change, and humanity would help lead that change. They had kept their secret for 65 years. Now it was time to use it to help others who faced the same threats they had overcome. The captured Council ships contained something more valuable than any tribute: information. As human technicians downloaded the Council's databases, the true extent of their empire's crimes became clear. Admiral Thompson stood in the main briefing room with Ambassador Brown and General Wilson, looking at displays showing thousands of worlds marked as tribute planets. Each dot on the map represented a civilization being slowly drained of resources. 10,000 worlds, Brown whispered, her voice heavy with anger. They've been doing this for over 50,000 years. Wilson pointed to different sections of the galactic map. Look at the pattern. They target developing worlds just reaching for the stars. Drain them of resources before they can become strong enough to fight back. The technicians had also recovered the Council's internal communications. On the main screen, messages between Council members revealed their true attitudes toward other species. These primitive worlds exist to serve us, one Council member had written. Their resources fuel our empire's growth. The tribute system keeps them weak, dependent, and controlled. Thompson's fist clenched as he read more messages. They knew exactly what they were doing, keeping worlds divided, scared, unable to develop proper defenses. But the most important discovery came from the Council's recent messages. News of Earth's victory was spreading across the galaxy. The Council had tried to suppress the information, but they couldn't stop it completely. A communication officer rushed into the room. "Sir, we're receiving messages, hundreds of them, from different tribute worlds." The messages began playing on the screens. Alien faces of all kinds appeared, speaking in their own languages, but with clear hope in their voices. They had heard about Earth's victory. They wanted to know how humans had done it. More importantly, they wanted to know if Earth would help them. The Council's power was built on fear, Brown said, studying the messages. Once other worlds see they can be beaten. As if to prove her point, another officer burst in. "Admiral, we're detecting multiple Council ships in nearby sectors. They're under attack." The tactical displays showed it clearly. Tribute worlds were rising up against their oppressors. Council ships found themselves facing resistance from planets they had terrorized for centuries. "It started," Wilson said quietly. "The rebellion we found in the Martian archives. It's happening again, but this time the Council won't be able to stop it," Thompson finished. He turned to his officers. "Send messages to all our fleet commanders. Tell them to prepare for deep space operations." In the following hours, Earth's leaders made a historic decision. The 500 ships that had defended Earth would now become the core of a liberation fleet. They would share their knowledge, their weapons, and their determination with other worlds who wanted to break free. Ambassador Brown drafted Earth's first galactic-wide message. "To all worlds suffering under Council tribute demands, humanity stands ready to help. We have the weapons, the knowledge, and the will to end the Council's oppression. You are not alone anymore." The response was overwhelming. Messages flooded in from thousands of worlds. Some offered to join the fight with their own hidden ships and weapons. Others provided critical intelligence about Council operations. The tribute system that had stood for 50,000 years was beginning to crumble. In his command center, Admiral Thompson looked at the latest reports. 20 Council tribute fleets had already surrendered to local resistance forces. The Council's central worlds were in chaos as member species began questioning the Empire's actions. The Council thought demanding tribute from Earth would make them stronger, he said to his officers. Instead, it's going to end their empire. Across the galaxy, ships were moving. But this time, they weren't Council vessels coming to collect tribute. They were Earth ships carrying technology and hope to worlds that had known only fear for millennia. The Martian archives had prepared humanity for this moment. Now it was time to finish what the Martians had started, breaking the Council's power and freeing the galaxy from their tribute system forever. The real war was just beginning, but for the first time in 50,000 years, the tribute worlds had hope. Earth had shown them that the Council could be beaten. Now they would show the galaxy what united worlds could achieve together. 1 year after Earth's victory over the Council fleet, the galaxy had changed forever. In the grand meeting hall of the newly built Galactic Assembly on Mars, Representatives from over 1,000 freed worlds gathered to shape the future. Admiral Thompson stood at the main window, watching ships from hundreds of different species moving through the space above Mars. Earth's secret fleet had grown into something much bigger, the Combined Defense Force, crewed by beings from all across the galaxy. The final Council stronghold surrendered this morning, Ambassador Brown reported, joining him at the window. The tribute system is officially over. The past year had been busy. Earth had shared the Martian technology with their allies, helping other worlds build their own defenses. The knowledge that had been kept secret for 65 years now protected countless civilizations. In the assembly hall below, alien representatives discussed trade agreements and mutual defense pacts. Many wore translator badges based on Earth designs, allowing everyone to understand each other. The fear that had kept worlds isolated was gone, replaced by cooperation and shared purpose. "Did you see the latest reports from the education program?" General Wilson asked, walking up with a tablet. 10,000 young officers from different worlds, all training together in the lunar academies, learning to use the combined technology of 100 cultures. Thompson nodded, remembering how it all started. And to think the Council believed we were just primitive humans with barely working spaceships. The three leaders watched as a massive ship passed by the window, one of the new combined technology vessels. It used Martian-based designs, enhanced by innovations from 20 different species. Ships like these now patrolled trade routes that once lived in fear of Council tribute collectors. "The Council's reformation is proceeding well," Brown added. "The moderate members who opposed the tribute system are creating a new advisory body. No more demands, no more threats, just guidance and support for developing worlds." In the halls and chambers of the assembly building, former tribute worlds were finding their voices. Some shared advanced medical knowledge they'd kept hidden from the Council. Others revealed engineering breakthroughs they'd developed in secret. Each world had something to contribute, once they no longer feared having it stolen. Lieutenant Baker, now Captain Baker, entered the room with the day's security report. "The combined fleet exercises were a complete success," she announced proudly. "Crews from 50 different worlds working together perfectly. The new ships are faster and stronger than anything the Council ever built." Thompson smiled, remembering the day Earth had revealed its hidden fleet. "How many worlds have their own defense forces now?" "Over 5,000, Baker replied, "all using the shared technology program. No world will ever be defenseless against tribute demands again." Below in the assembly hall, a vote was taking place. The representatives were approving the final draft of the new Galactic Charter. Its first line read, "No world may be forced to surrender its resources or independence to another." As the vote passed unanimously, cheers erupted from thousands of beings. Species that had once feared each other now worked side by side. The galaxy had awakened to a new age of cooperation and shared strength. "Earth's greatest tribute to the galaxy," Brown said softly, "wasn't our ships or our weapons. It was showing everyone that resistance was possible. That together, we could be stronger than the Council ever was." Outside, more ships arrived carrying representatives from newly freed worlds. The assembly building, constructed using technology from 100 planets, stood as a symbol of what united species could achieve. Thompson thought about the long path that had led here. The discovery on Mars, the 65 years of preparation, the battle that had started it all. Earth's resistance had sparked a fire that transformed the galaxy. "The Council demanded tribute," Wilson said, watching the celebration below. "Instead, they got revolution, freedom, a whole new galaxy." As the sun set over Mars, thousands of ships lit up the sky. They were not Council tribute collectors or invasion fleets. They were the guardians of a new age, protecting the rights of all worlds to grow and develop without fear. Earth had changed everything. The former primitive world that said no to tribute had become the world that said yes to unity, freedom, and hope. The new era had begun.